we need not to change revenue sharing formula every so often. We really need to entrench revenue sharing formula in law so that it is pretty standard and straightforward. The parameters of revenue sharing need to be entrenched in law. Eliminate. I mean, countries advised, some countries like India and others have, revenue sharing formula that have been set, and it doesn't change in terms of parameters. Only division of revenue may change between county government and national government so that the formulas are able to be executed just as revenues change, based on performance of government. So the current impasse is a situation where you have CRA that is trivializing very critical lifeline related issues for ourselves and magnifying population. A country is primarily made out of its geographical boundary and population. If you order pizza in Nairobi when you are in Karen, and you order pizza when you're in Nairobi West, the cost of delivery is not the same. Likewise, if you are to do service provision in 26,000 square kilometer landmass, where you will have to put a dispensary at one corner, you have to transport services to that dispensary. You have got to do a road to access that administrative unit. It costs a lot more. And to ignore that is, to say the least, evil. To feel like, that is nothing. Service is a factor of population. That is unrealistic, absolutely unrealistic. The reason why Northern Kenya has remained underdeveloped all these years is because the cost of doing 800-kilometer road has been looked at as too expensive for government. As such, successive governments have kept on shelving it, because it's that expensive. If you ignore and say landmass means nothing, population is a factor, then it is too skewed for that matter. The government has many mechanisms. We respect the mechanism of government. For example, the government has the leeway to do conditional grant to whichever county it prefers. They've done it before, during colonial government, under Kenyatta, under marehemu Hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, under marehemu Moi. It has happened under Kibaki. And now it can happen, that through conditional allocation, any county favored can be given extra amounts from the national coffers. Projects have been preferred and have been given to regions by choice of the government. We have no complaint about that. What is very sad is that we can pass the revenue sharing formula because of the unfairness entrenched in it. And if you look at what we are discussing, is 10% of the 3 trillion budget. 316 billion out of 3 trillion is 10%. 90% of the money is still with the national government. The 90%, the government of Kenya has the freedom, the right, the will to decide to do projects as they see fit, including giving conditional grant in form of money to support the budgets of any given county. And so this issue of trying to change the formula and feeling out of the 10%, a region, 14 counties, 18 counties that have been subjected to resource denial for over 50 years, that have a state of underdevelopment second to none, should lose the little they're getting because some people feel, the little you're getting under shareable revenue is too much for a region that has lost. I mean, I want to take an example. CRA's proposal is extremely ridiculous, and it's important that this is known. CRA has based virtually everything on population and neglected landmass. And CRA has proposed in health 17% of the revenues to be given, of what comes to counties to be given based on population of number of persons who have accessed outpatient services from health facilities and inpatient services from health facilities as contained in National Health Information System. Now, that is as ridiculous and as evil sounding as telling these marginalized counties, you know what, yeah, for the first 50 years we've denied you resources. And now moving forward, we will penalize you for denying you the resources. How is it that we could not do as many health facilities as others have done because there were no resources given to us the first 50 years of independence? And as such, we have limited number of health facilities because the health facilities are only happening under devolution, and we could only do so much in the last 8 years. Now, just because we don't have health facilities and the number of persons accessing outpatient and inpatient are fewer, then you put 17% based on the number of persons who have accessed, population who have accessed health facilities. So you are telling these marginalized counties, for 50 years, we've denied you money using session of paper number 10 of 1965. And you know what? For subsequent years, we will penalize you for having denied you money so that you have not done your health infrastructure. And we will do that. No, they have allocated 10% for agriculture. The mainstay of the economy of 24 pastoral counties is livestock. Livestock has not been allocated anything. Agriculture was allocated 10%, and they said the number of rural health population and households and this issue. So why should agriculture be any more important than livestock that has supported the lifeline of a population who were denied the resources for 50 years? You know, the current oldest serving politicians in our region is like Senator Yusuf Haji. Senator Yusuf Haji's school fees was paid using livestock. Our entire livelihood has been supported. My fees was paid through livestock. Our lifeline is that livestock. When government disowned and denied us resources for 50 years, we survived using livestock. Our entire livelihood was livestock. Now, to CRA, livestock is useless. It doesn't mean anything. You know, agriculture is superb.
In Nairobi.
Yes, you know, agriculture is superb. So agriculture we reward. Because we've denied you resources for 50 years, so much that you cannot afford to do agriculture because you live in an area where there is suppressed rains. And because government did not invest in doing rainwater harvesting and other water support for us to do farming, CRA has proposed that because we've denied you resources for 50 years, because you have no agriculture, we will penalize you by using agriculture as variables of revenue sharing more, okay? And we will not consider pastoralism, okay? When I challenge the CRA chair, he said, no, you know agriculture means agriculture and livestock. I say, oh, okay, so how do you talk about rural agricultural household when you're talking about pastoralists in the bush? It doesn't make sense. So pastoralism has been given 0. The same for blue economy. When besides now the President and Right Honorable Raila are working together very well, and I've visited Kisumu several times, there is a lot of development taking shape now because of this partnership, which is very good. It ought to have been a right, not a privilege, as a nation to get development of all our counties. However, before that, the lifeline of the people of, the lake region was supported by fishing. People go to their lakes, they fish, they get support their life. And it's called blue economy. That blue economy has not been given anything, for that matter. And when it came to, issues to do with landmass, we must allocate very little so that you don't get it. Unapata kidogo. And that is what we are saying. So, instead of revenue sharing formula to be based on level of disparities in service provision, so that you, a Luo from, Nyanza, if you fall sick in Mandera, you should be able to access health services in Mandera that will be at the same basic standard with health services of another county that is in other regions, for that matter. The issue should be so scientific that you need to analyze health service gaps in the country, be informed in terms of resource allocation by analyzing the health service gaps in Kenya, so that you can look at these ASALs, health service at that, and the National Ministry of Health need to have a basic reference point where you will consider that service provision of health in our country, in all the 47 counties, need to be at this basic level. And that basic level need to inform revenue allocation or conditional grant to counties in order to bring services to that level. Now, we were supposed to get there through equalization fund, which has failed to be implemented. National government is not offering anything. And we are penalizing you in doing this. I want to remind my brothers and sisters, the Kenyans, that are really, getting pained by the little that is coming to these ASAL counties under the 40s, under shareable revenue, which is 10% of national budget. To understand, Waswahili wamesema, aliyekupa wewe kiti ndiye aliyenipa mimi kumbi. Maana yake, yule Mungu ambaye alikupa fursa ya kuishi mahali ambapo kuna mvua nyingi, kuna ukulima, temperature ni mzuri, na kila kitu unapata riziki yako, mtu analima kwa boma yake na kula. Ndio huyo Mungu ambaye amepanga tukaishi kama wafugaji sehemu kavu ambayo haina mvua na imepata shida kama hiyo. The same God that gave you an opportunity to live in destitute area where there is plenty of rainfall, arable land, and plentiful, the land of the plentiful, is the same God that gave the ASALs the opportunity to live in dry lands where there is limited rainfall, not much farming. We give them an opportunity to live there. Don't hate your colleagues so much, for what God has planned. And that is not even in your power to give, in your power to deny. Don't feel so hateful that for 50 years people have been denied. The little resource that has come under devolution should not pain you. You should fight for more allocation through conditional grant to your counties, because no one from northern Kenya has been on the streets to ask, why are we doing highways and super highways and mega dams and this in destitute regions? We don't complain. We only plead to the government of Kenya, please do us the road from Isiolo to Mandera. Please connect us to national electricity grid so that we can get minor resemblance of industrialization, and the cost of doing business can be brought down, and cost of transportation can be brought down. You never know in this country. All over the world, regions that have been seen as good for nothing have ended up prospering better than others. Look at Dubai in the desert, Arab Emirates in the desert, Qatar in the desert, United kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the desert. But economically, they're doing very well. What is beneath our earth is not known. You've seen the earlier signs of good tidings that are on the way. Oil in Turkana, oil in Mandera. The seismic survey data has been released. Plenty of deposit of oil in Mandera. Plenty of gas in Wajir and oil. Wind power in Marsabit and many others. Minerals in Banisa. God cannot be unfair. You know, you can get forest and rainfall and a lot of farming. Those that you think have nothing might have a lot underneath. It could be nothing above, but below the surface, the opportunities available is unknown. We want to hold Kenya together as a country. We want to love each other as a country. We want to move forward as a country so that when opportunities present themselves in this region of resources, that the same sharing spirit is exercised so that people go. Now, if other areas, the land use has made it very congested. For example, in Kisii, Nyeri, Kiambu, name them. Expansive land is left in these asals. Unaanza kuambia watu leo, land is useless, take your land. Where do you go tomorrow? The only areas land is left is here. You need to develop these areas so that you will have more people leaving central Kenya and other regions coming to northern Kenya and thriving. For example, under devolution, Mandera had less than 300 non-local, non-Somali people at the advent of devolution. Today they have more than 3,000 voters in Mandera town only. Forget about other towns. If the voters are 3,000, the population could be 7,000 to 8,000 in that regard. And this is the Kenya we want. You know, Kenya where opportunities in this country should be available to everybody and that issue. So revenue sharing is an emotive issue. Up to now, I do not believe Kenyans have seen sense in how difficult this issue is. You know, we don't get a lot from the 90%, but we do get this 10%, and we cherish the 10% we get. We want to plead with everyone. Please, don't be pained by the little that comes to ourselves from the 10%. Thank you very much.